Namaskar. Hello, I'm Makarand. As Amruta told, I'm a hardcore Thanite, born and brought up in Thane. And for last 10 years, I am doing some research, some study regarding Thane city. And that research leads me to many interesting things. And today is the opportunity given to me by uh, Khaki club, Khaki tours, and this platform where I can share with you the history of Thane under British rule, as our title says. It's Tana. The Britishers has heard the name as a cooking Tana or Tana from the early rulers and early people living here. But before going to British rule, I would like to go for a short flashback. I mean, what were the dynasties ruling the Thana before British, or how Thana has handover from one dynasty to another? Because we have Thana's history right from 9th century. So, if we start from that 9th century record, at that time, Shilahar dynasty was ruling the North Konkan all over, and Thana was their capital. As you know, the Ambarnath temple, which was built by the Shilaharas, and our Thane city is also built by Shilaharas in their dynasty. After Shilaharas came the Bimba dynasty, and we have a very elaborative record of Bimba dynasty in Mahikawati's Bakhar. That is a chronicle written after that dynasty collapse, but it explains how Bimba ruled the area from Mahim to Thane and furthermore. One interesting incident from Bimba dynasty was that King Mahibimba was ruling when at that time, and he defeated the King Bhoj from Chaul. Chaul is a place very close to Alibag, and that Bhoj Raja has attacked Thane in the intention of capturing the Thane city. And Mahibimba defeated him, and there was a very huge war and in Kharigaon location. You might be knowing the Kharigaon close to Kalwa. And after that victory, Mahibumba king celebrated his victory and joy on the banks of Masauda Lake. That is our Masunda Talav, Masunda Lake, which is today's pride of Thana. And we can say that so from the ancient period, Thanekars are used to celebrate anything on the bank of Masunda Lake. After Bimba dynasty, there came the regime of Delhi Sultan. Alauddin Khilji has taken over the Delhi and most of the North India, and his Wazir and Malik were appointed in Thane also. After that came the Portuguese. They were very tyrant, and their main intention was to conversion. So they almost destroyed all the old temples and monuments and places in Thane. But one interesting thing happened when the Portuguese regime began, and that interesting thing is that they built a church in 1582, and that church is still there in Thane, and that is the oldest building which was built even before Taj Mahal was built in Agra. So we have that old building in Thane, and that is now known as St. John the Baptist Church. It has been renovated, but there are few doors and few walls which are from that era. So that old building in our Thane city also. And after Portuguese came the Maratha. Maratha take the Thane in 1737, and till 1744, Marathas were the ruler of Thane. They were handling the city. And after 1774, the British rule starts. So we will be taking Thane city journey from that period, that is 1774. How Britishers changed the face of Thane, what have they contributed to Thane socially, politically, culturally. It's a very long list, and there are so many things. But why basically British needs or British want the Thane in their hand? Because they were in Mumbai at that time. They have got Mumbai from Portuguese in 1665. So at that time, Thana was under Portuguese rule. At that time, Portuguese and British have a very good relations, we can say. They were not on fighting mode, and they were little bit friendly with each other. But afterwards, the situations in Europe and in Maharashtra and in India change very drastically. And Peshwe took the charge of Thane. They drove Portuguese out of Thane, Sasti, Vasai, and all those area. And Britishers were only focusing on Mumbai and the seven islands of Mumbai, and they are trying to develop that port for the future. And in 1770-71, Britishers heard the news that Portuguese army, Portuguese navy is coming from Europe to capture all those empire. So Britishers thinks that if they came to Thana, then that will be a little troublesome for them. So they decided to take over the Thana for protection of Mumbai. And that's why they went to Pune Darbar, that is Peshwe Madhavrao was ruling as a Peshwe in that period. And they requested that we need Thana for our protection. So please hand over this city to us. And Madhavrao Peshwe and Nana Fadnis and those people outright rejected their proposal. So Britishers had to come back, and they were just following the policy wait and watch, because the politics in Maharashtra has in turmoil at that time. Because after that British request, within few months, Madhavrao Peshwe died. Then his younger brother Narayan Rao became the Peshwa, but his uncle Raghunath Rao assassinated him. So Raghunath Rao became the Peshwa, and Britishers were silently watching all these things happening in dynasty in Maharashtra rule, and they were waiting for the opportunity to grab the Thane. And they took that opportunity in December 1774. In December 1774, on 12th December, General Gordon, who was in charge for that operation, started from Mumbai port with a European artillery of 120. Then he was having 1,000 Desi soldiers with him, and he was having infantry of 500 European soldiers. And all these navy, all these soldiers were coming towards Thane to capture the Thane, to take the Thane from Peshwa rule. And they started their cannons bombarding Thane Fort, which was the protector of Thane city. And on 24th December, they have the first success. The main bastion of fort was damaged because of their cannons. And on 20th December, they finally succeeded in winning the Thane city from Maratha army. So that's how British entered Thane. That's how British got the Thane after having a fierce war with Maratha army to capture the Thane fort, which was originally built by Portuguese and maintained by Maratha at that time. And when they took the city in their hands at that time, still Peshwe were having hold on the Maharashtra's politics and all the things, and Peshwa regime was there. So they were only having Thana under their British control. So they appointed Kawashji Jahangirji from Mumbai. He was a Parsi fellow, and he became Patel of the Thana. And that's why with him, other few families, Parsi families came to Thana. And in 1780, Mr. Kawashji Jahangir built a Parsi Agyari in Thane, which is still there near Tembinaka. So that is one of the oldest religious place of Thane, we can say. And when Britishers captured Thana, they started administrating. After just 44 years, in 1818, Maratha or the Peshwa regime was ended, and all over Maharashtra was under British rule. So after 1818, Britishers started to develop Thane as a district place, because Thana was previously known as a capital of North Konkan. In Shilahara's period, Thana was included in North Konkan. The North Konkan region was coming to Mahar, and that whole region, Thana was the capital in Shilahara's. Britishers also keep the same system, and they formed the same North Konkan district, and Thana became the headquarter of North Konkan district. So Thana got many government offices, then collector, district judge, district civil surgeon, district police officer. These kind of officers were placed in Thane also, and Britishers adjusted themselves in the Thane city, which was having glimpses of Peshwa rule till that period. First thing they took over was a place for collector, because they want to set his residence and his office in Thane. So they took over the place which was known as Kotwal Bubaji Naik's Wada. Kotwal Bubaji Naik was the person who has helped Peshwa a lot in the war with Portuguese. and he was appointed as a Kotwal, that is security in charge of Thane city after that war. And his residence, his Wada, his mansion was near Tembinaka at that time, and that place converted into a collector's office by British. And the first collector appointed to Thane city was Mr. Civil Marriott. He was the first collector of district, and he was his residence and office in the same building, which was Kotwal Bubaji Naik's Wada. Afterward, they demolished the place, and they built a new Wada or new house there. You can see the old collector office, which was still there till I think 1975-78. This building was there in Thane, which was a part of Bubaji Naik's residence and converted into collector office. Then in front of Bubaji Naik's Wada, there was another mansion, there was another residence, and that was Subedar Peshwe. He was already having charge of Kalyan city. So all in Kalyan there is a Subedar Wada. That was Bivalkar's residence in Kalyan city, and he was having another residence in Thane city, which was also known as the Bivalkar Wada, which was converted into district court by British authorities. And again, the district judge or the judge for the North Konkan was appointed there, and he was staying also there. British collector and British district judge both were staying opposite to each other. Both were using the old mansions, old wadas, which were built in Peshwe regime, and those were converted into government offices afterwards. But before this thing happens, I mean, before appointing district judge and collector and all the government officers, an interesting incidents happen in Thane city, and that is related to the Thane Fort actually. At that time, Thane Fort was used as a fort by British also, because that was the early days of British regime. So they haven't converted that fort to jail, but they placed first prisoner in the Thane Fort. And he was the chief administrative officer of Peshwe Bajirao II, and that person's name is Trambakji Dengre. He was arrested and he was accused for assassinating another administrative officer of another place that was from Baroda princely state, and that's why Trambakji Dengre was arrested and kept as a prisoner in Thane Fort at that time. So this was the end of Peshwe regime, but still Peshwe were having some power in Maharashtra. And Bajirao Dengre, Trambakji Dengre was kept as a prisoner in the Thane Fort, and his supporters and Peshwe people from Peshwa regime, they made a plan to take him out of the jail, escape plan for the Trambakji Dengre. But they use a very intelligent tool for this. They use a person who was supposed to go to the fort regularly to take care of horses of British soldiers. And he messaged Trambakji Dengre by singing a song every day, how his escape route is made. And send their message to Trambakji Dengre, and then he escaped easily from the fort. So it's really ironical that after that in 1838, that fort was properly converted into central jail, but the first prisoner of that central jail was succeeded in escaping the jail. Still, it is used as a jail. Afterwards, in freedom fighting era, Vasudev Balwant Phadke, Swatantravir Savarkar, these peoples are there as a prisoner in that Thane Fort. And even in modern era, the VIPs like Sanjay Dutt and Harshad Mehta were kept there as a prisoner. But the first prisoner of that jail had been succeeded from running from that fort, from that jail actually. The fort is very interesting, and many residents of Thane still don't know that they have a historical fort in their city, because now it is a jail. It is almost under all security provisions and security things. There is a huge barricade. There is a wall built around the fort, but it's a very good fort built by Portuguese, maintained by Maratha regime, and afterwards British converted to jail. So going back to British era and British rule, for collector of North Konkan district, and he has to start survey of land. He has to measure the land right from Palghar to Mahad to know how much land is used and which land is not used, unused land. And he found out that unused land is much greater in proportion. So he declared few schemes to encourage people to start cultivating the land, because for last 15, 20, 25 years there were certain uncertainties, unrest, and people were not cultivating the land, and either they were joining army or they are doing some other job. So they started a scheme for native soldiers in British army, and the scheme was like that: if a person is serving as a havaldar, he will get 7 bighe land free of cost. If a person is a naik in army, he will get 6 bighe land free of cost. And for 8 years, they will not have to pay any kind of tax to government. So they can use the crop, they can use the return from the land for all. And that's he encourage cultivation in North Konkan district in Thane area also. Then again, Civil Merit had done a very good job about submitting a report regarding education system. So he suggested to the governor at that time. Elphiston, Stuart Elphiston was governor of Mumbai, and Civil Mary had submitted him report regarding how education systems should be developed in British rule. And he suggested that in each district there should be 2 English medium schools and 15 vernacular schools. Then even he drafted which subject should be taught in those schools. Like there should be maths, there should be language, that is Marathi language, then English language, then drawing and surveying. Because at that time they were in need of the surveyors, because they have to measure all the area land and they have to keep the record for revenue purpose. So all these subjects he suggested should be taught in a school. Then he given a chart for salary for the teachers also. So he suggested that for English teacher salary should be 100 rupees. For Marathi teacher it should be 60 rupees. Just imagine 200 years back, teacher, a school teacher, and 60 rupees salary for a school teacher. So we should appreciate that thing, that they were generous at least about paying to teachers, and they know the importance of teachers, and that's why they manage here for so many years after that. And because of this report, of course, Elphiston didn't accept all his suggestions or accept all the report totally, but he had taken into account few things. And we can say because of this report in 1821, Thane city got its very first English medium school. At that time, it was just called as a New English School, Thane. Afterwards, Behramji Jijiboi's descendants donated a building for the school, and the school became BJ High School, that is Behramji Jijiboi's High School. The school is still there on Teminaka. The building is now renovated totally. New building has been built. But that was the very first English medium school of Thane. And many eminent personalities from Thane in the past has been the student of the BJ High School. They have passed out from that school matric exam at that time. So that is the very first school of Thane district. While taking the charge, and while this is the BJ High School old building. This was still there in Tembinaka till I remember 87 or 88. This building was still there at that time. While doing all this thing and controlling the Thane district, Civil Marriott also applied to governor for 2, 3 other reasons. One reason was that insufficient staff. He says, I need more to handle such a big district. Then he said, okay, if you can't provide me staff, please divide the district. Please make 2 or 3 small districts out of the one. It will be more easy to handle the district. So finally, in 2014, we know Thane got divided after independence, and we have Palghar district and Thane district. In British Raj, North district they restructured in 1832. And Thane district was separated, and from Panvel to Mahad, Ratnagiri district was prepared at that time. So that's how they divided the North Konkan district, and the North Konkan district name was used till 1832. After that, it became a Thane district. So when this civil magistrate was appointed as a collector, at the same time they appointed a district judge, and this his name was Stephen Babington. He was appointed in the same year, that is 1818, as a district judge for North Konkan. He was just 28 years old, but he was very efficient, soft-hearted, and compassionate person. Governors and many high officials were having high hopes for Babington, कि ये लड़का बहुत आगे जाएगा, बहुत कुछ कर सकता है. He could be a governor also in coming time, and he was capable of that things. He came from London. He has taken education in London, and he has mixed up with natives in such a way that he has very high respect in natives of Thane also. So, because of his very good career, he get promoted to Adalat, High Court of time, and he was appointed from North Konkan district judge to High Court district judge at that time. He took a charge there, and he has started living in Mumbai, but he came back to Thane in May 1822 for some his personal private work, some personal reason, and of course he was a friend of civil Marriott, the collector. So he went to his house, and he was having some chat with collector, and they were having tea. And in the evening, a news so today's Majiuda area, you might be knowing, on the Godbandar road, there is a Majiuda village and Majiuda place, my area, that was known as a Ujivli at that time. So a house in a Ujivli has broke a fire, and we need to go there. So collector, his staff, they all started for that place. Even Babington joined them because he was very compassionate, and he had been in Thane for last 4 or 5 years. So he was having a bond with Thane people, and they all went there, and they saw the house was under fire, and people are trapped inside, and they are asking for help. So his district court judge, this high court judge, Stephen Babington, with all other soldiers, entered the burning house just to save some unknown people, because they are citizens of my city. So that much compassionate he was, and unfortunately, he was so trapped. He himself was trapped in that house, and he was burnt heavily. So he couldn't came alive from the house. His body was taken to collector's bungalow, and in Gazette it was described that most of the people from Thane gathered in front of collector's bungalow just to pray that Babington साहब मरना नहीं चाहिए. He should be alive. उसको कुछ होना नहीं चाहिए इसके लिए. And but alas, on 19th May 1822, Stephen Babington lost his life, and just for a noble cause, he was trying to save some unknown people in a house which was on fire. His memorial is built. He was buried in Thane only. And where is it? Now you're seeing the slide of the statue of Stephen Babington. You can see that statue in Asiatic Library. If whenever you go to Asiatic Library, please search for this statue. And he is our Stephen Babington, district judge of Thane, who lost his life, and his memorial is in Thane. And this is the memorial of Stephen Babington, which is near St. James Church. St. James Church was not there at that time when Babington was buried, or when this memorial was built, because in this place, in that area, right from 1775-78, British soldiers were buried in this area, and church was built afterwards. The church is a Protestant church, and it was built in 1825. When British started regularly living in Thane, the British soldiers for that thing. So they applied to Governor Elphiston. Government should build us a church here. And Elphiston's wife took the initiative, and he appointed a architect from army, Mr. Tote, and Mr. Tote make a design, and the church was built at a cost of rupees 48,000 at that time in 1825. The building is still there. The church is still there. This is the building which was designed by that British architect in 1825. And you can see the old photo also. It has been changed not much. The same tower and the same things are there. This is the heritage monument in Thane, and in coming 2 years it will be celebrating its 200th anniversary. 200 साल का एक चर्च हो जाएगा. So we have another monument which is 200 years old in Thane. Like church, collector office, district judge, court, all these things. In a British era, in British rule, Thane people got their first public library, and that public library was started on again on the Tembinaka. I think Tembinaka was at that time, you can say, Malabar Hill or so political hub of Thane, because there was collector office, there was first dispensary, there was first this library, and that time Britishers had started a scheme in every district. Either collector or some district judge should take initiative and start a public library for native people. And this was also at that time started in 1850. So this was known as a Native General Library. And now we are seeing the slide of the photo of the Native General Library. This building was built by collector after some years. He was W.B. Mullock. And so when he built the building and donated it to the library, after that the name changed for the library, and in the honor of Mr. Mullock, this library was known as a Mullock Library. Even today also, Thana's senior citizens or old residents know this library still as a Mullock Library only. It is there. When 1880, there was a survey, there was a report published about this library, and 1880's report says that this Mullock Library has a collection of total 974 books, out of which 712 are in English, and 235 books are in various other languages like Marathi, Gujarati, Sanskrit, and Farsi also. And at that time, there were 45 members for the library. So this was the first public library which was started in a British era. After independence in 1965, the library was renamed as a Thane Nagar Vachan Mandir. Still, library is in Tembinaka running. It has a 4-story building also there. So, Britishers started first English medium school in Thane. Britishers started first public native library in Thane. But the most important thing British era gave to Thane was railway station. Come to the railway, and Britishers gave us the most valuable thing, the railway station or the railway route, as we can see. And because Thana was on the railway route, first railway route started by Britishers in all over Asia. That was the first passenger railway, which started from the Boribandar to Thane. That was the first section they started. And in 1850, the train had the first run from Boribandar to Thane. So I always think like Boribandar, which then become VT, now it is Chhatrapati Shivaji Maharaj Terminus. Like Boribandar, like VT, like CSMT, Thane is also a heritage railway station. We should have something there to know people that this was the second railway station from the first railway in all over Asia. Unfortunately, there is just one engine they have kept from the olden days in a side. Most of the people don't know that that was the first engine used for the train which ran from Boribandar to Thane. But we should have something there to elaborate that Thane is the one of the heritage railway stations in Thane. Railway started in 1853, but Britishers were planning that railway from 1840. And at that time, there was competition between Calcutta and Mumbai. Which one will be the first to get the railway? And Mumbai won the case. And Mumbai to Thane railway started. At that time, Thane station was having only 4 platforms. And railway line divided the Thane city in the east and west. Till that, Thane was a single city beside the creek and having a shadow of Yeur hills. but railway line divided the city in east and west. So Chendani Koliwada, which was a common single Koliwada before railway, get divided into two parts. So now we have half Chendani Koliwada in east section and remaining half is in west section. And east section was developed later because there were more mangroves and salt lakes and salt pits were there. There was a jetty. Thana got first railway station, and Thana got connected to other cities and other places because of railway. We are having a very old slide of Thane railway station, and nobody, I think, have seen this building because this was demolished many years ago. But this was the building of Thane railway station at that time. You can see a bullock cart is waiting to pick up somebody. Then this was after few years when motor vehicles arrived in India, in Mumbai, in Maharashtra, in Thane, and there was a taxi stand in front of Thane railway station at that time. But interesting part was that when railway started from Borivandar to Thane and was extended to Kalyan, at that time Thana was not connected to Kalwa, Kharigaon, Vitava, Kalyan, all these places by road. So people have to cross a creek, go by boat, ferry, machwa, a small boat to reach Kalwa from Thane because there was no bridge built on the Thane Creek. And after 24 years railways journey, Thane it's got the bridge on the Thane and Kalwa Creek. Thane city was having four jetties. One was in Chendani, Koliwada. Two jetties were in Mahagiri, Koliwada. One was at Kalwa Bridge, where Kalwa Bridge was built later. And so people used to go by ferry boats or small boats from Thane to Kalwa at that time. In 1877, the bridge between Thane and Kalwa for road transport was built for the first time. At that time, it costed rupees 1,68,864. The bill, more interesting part is that in that era, in that period, in that year, 1877, not in Maharashtra, not in Mumbai or Thane, but not in India also, there was not a car or motorbike on road. So this Kalwa Bridge, which was built in 1877, was used for bullock carts, tanga. Then people were still using some palki or mena like things for transportation, and that's how the transportation from Thane to Kalwa started. Then after 37 years, this bridge was reconstructed by Mr. Vitthal Sayanna. Now you are seeing the old photo of the Thane Kalwa bridge when the new bridge which we now use was not built on the creek, and this was the bridge built by Vitthal Sayanna, and he built the bridge in around 1914 somewhere, and this bridge was so strong it was in use for 100 years. Till 2014 this bridge was used to cross creek to reach Kalwa either by bus, by car, by bikes, by any other vehicle. And this was the bridge built by Vitthal Sayanna. You might have heard his name. His full name was Mr. Vitthal Sayanna Yadav. Sayanna was his father's name actually. And at that time, the surname was not written in many documents. So many mentioned as Vitthal Sayanna only. He was not architect, but he was a very good building contractor. And he has built very interesting large buildings in Mumbai. The GPO building in Mumbai is built by Vitthal Sayanna. Then the Prince of Wales Museum, that is now Bhauda Jilad Museum, that is also constructed by Vitthal Sayanna. Royal Institute of Science and Elphinstone Technical School, all these buildings are constructed by Mr. Vitthal Sayanna. In 1912, he came to Thane and built his residence. And there is a Datta Mandir, temple of Datta in that area, which is still known as the Vitthal Sayanna Datta Mandir. So Vitthal Sayanna was a pride for Thaneites because even after 90 years, the bridge built by Vitthal Sayanna was in use and people were using that bridge. And his name is connected to one more facility provided to Thane people, and that facility was civil hospital. His son, Narayan Vitthal Sayanna, who built the civil hospital of Thane in 1935 in memory of Vitthal Sayanna. So his name is still there. Now the old building is also demolished of that civil hospital, which was built by Narayan Sayanna. That was a masonry building. But even the new hospital will be having the same name, Vitthal Sayanna General Hospital, Thane district. So his name is associated with. But all these developments are happening, and Thana was very getting very comfortable. This is Vitthal Sayanna's portrait. He has also built few buildings in Pune and in other places in Maharashtra. Uh, so people were getting a little comfortable in actually the Thana when British actually started their rule. It is clearly described in the first Gazetteer, which was published in 1882. They have a geographical description of Thane. They says towards the west of Thane city, on the western, there is a coast of Salseti, lies the scenic range of Salseti Hills, and to the south of the railway line is coastal village of Chendani. So Chendani was the village. It's interesting thing. Some places in Thane have their name got around 800 or 900 years back. In Mahikawati's Bakhar, you will find a name for Chendani. You will find the same name Pachpakhadi, Uthalsar, Ujivle, that was Majivde. These all names have been mentioned. Sarai, these all names have been mentioned in that Bakhar, in that chronicles of Bimba dynasty, and people were using those names for 800 700 years together. So Britishers says that primary in east, the primary of a fisherman's village. Then in the west side there is a significant Mahagiri Koliwada area. This settlement also got a interesting history behind the name, because when Maratha army captured Thana, they have there some ships armored in the Thane Creek for the protection of Thana afterwards. And in that period, there was a type of a ship which is known as a Mahagiri, which was a battleship, and that was anchored in the that area near to that Koliwada, and that's why that Koliwada got the name Mahagiri Koliwada, because the Mahagiri ship was anchored near the coastline of Thane. So Mahagiri Koliwada is also mentioned in British record because it is older than British regime. Then they say the road going north from Thane railway station through the city is the main road. That is Thana's old station road, now known as a Subhash Path, which starts from the Thane station, ST, old ST depot. Then Ashok Talkage comes there, and then that road goes straight toward the Tembe Naka, that is Court Naka, Court District Court. And even in British era, they says that on this road there are shops selling clothes, grains, copperwares, and brasswares. So this was the market from British period, and still now this is the marketplace for Thane. Then there comes the Hira Court, which was the jail in Maratha regime. The diamond fort shape, diamond shaped fort is described by Britishers. Now people know this place. This missile joint is there. There was a small fort once upon a time in the diamond shape. And afterwards, British converted the fort into Tehsildar office. And the Tehsildar people invited Mr. Murdeshwar to run a canteen there. And that canteen becomes the Mamledar Bisar. So all this is historical places. Then there is description of Masunda Talav and Kopineshwar Mandir. You are now seeing the slide of Kopineshwar Mandir. Very old slide, because I don't think my generation or even before that people have seen Kopineshwar Mandir in this style or in this atmosphere. This is the Masunda Lake. Masunda Lake was really huge lake at that time. It was almost 34 hectares, and there were no roads around the Masunda Lake. I mean, the road going to the station, where are now they have built a flyover also. That road was built in 1958. After independence, that road was built. And the road in front of Gadkari Rangaitan, there is a drama theater in Thane, Gadkari Rangaitan, and there is a road which was built in 1928. So before that, Masunda Lake was the very huge water body inside in between the Thane. This is the old St. John Church, which is now again renovated, and they have tried to keep the design almost same as the historical building. This was the first one of the primary schools available, not there in the place. It has been totally reconstructed, renovated. But when you say Dagdi Shala, the old citizens or senior citizens of Thane come to know which place it is. It is exactly on the Charai Naka, and this is the old picture of that Dagdi Shala. This was the Parshia Gary. By Kawasji Patel at that time. And now this Agyari also has been renovated. And the photo we are seeing is a quite old photo. So right now in Thane, it was built in 1930 by Divecha father and son duo. This is also renovated. The structure is same, and it is totally renovated by collector office and Thane municipality from inside, and they have a very good wooden architecture for that. So in British era, many things happened in 1869, 1877, and 1875. Thane city suffered from the cholera pandemic, and it was a very bad pandemic. Almost 10,000 people lost their life in that week. According to 1481, Thana's population was 14,456 only, and in that population there were 11,000 Hindus, 1,300 Muslims, 1,000 Christians, 260 Parsis, and 165 Jews. And at that time, during that period, trade was flourished. Exports amounted to rupees more than 2 lakh, and imports were totaling around 3 lakh. So Thana was progressing under British rule, but one thing Thane it got from the local, from the native person, and that was the first newspaper of Thane. And we are seeing the slide of the Arunodaya newspaper, which was started by Kashinath Panta Phadke. He has started first the press, Arunodaya Press, and that was the first printing press in Thane city. And from that press, he started this newspaper, Arunodaya newspaper. Arunodaya has a historical importance because it was started before 15 years. Kesari was started by Lokmanya Tilak. So it was the senior newspaper in Maharashtra. And another significant thing is that even before Indian National Congress was formed, Arunodaya Press, Arunodaya paper had started awakening people about independence. So that's how Arunodaya played a and there are in 60. At that time, government for the first time imposed income tax on peoples in Thane, Vasai, Kalyan, Bhiwandi, all these places, and people were very upset about it. Ki, why government are charging us for? We are earning hardcore money. We are doing some thing, and people government is charging us tax. And there was some agitations and all these things, but afterwards collector and authorities explained them, and tax was accepted by the people. The most important thing happened to Thane in British era was Thane got its local governing body, that is Thane municipality. Thane municipality was formed, the order was issued in October 1862, and municipality was formed in March 1863, and municipality started its work, and their first major work they have done was digging a lake for drinking water, because though Thana was a city of lake, always there was a shortage of drinking water in summer season. So the lake at Upwan, which is known as the Upwan Lake, is the Pokhran Lake, which was built by Britishers for providing tap drinking water to Thane city. First municipal elections happened in Thane in 1885, and at that time 10 commissioners or the corporators were selected from government officers, and 10 were elected from public. and thus Thane Municipal started its progress. The interesting thing was that the first election, everyone was not allowed to vote at that time. As per the government, who was paying tax of rupees 4 per annum, they were only voters. And that number goes to 624 at that time for the first elections. But out of those, only 323 people voted. So less voting is also a tradition of Thane, we can say. And Thane got its first municipal president from native. That was the record. Balasaheb Kharkar. He was a very eminent personality in that period, and he was the first native person appointed by British government as a president of local governing body. So Kharkar Ali is a name after his all the his work he has done for Thane, Balasaheb Kharkar, and Thane got the first elected municipal president. That was Sir Govind Balwant Pradhan. We are seeing his picture now. He was a lawyer. He has been then elected to Mumbai Assembly also, and he was selected for the League of Nations as a representative of India as a country for the first time. So Thane should be have this Sir Govind Balwant Pradhan. And when the Thane municipality was formed and Thane city was there, it was a very small city. The today's many locations like Navpada, Bhaskar Colony, Luiswadi, Vartak Nagar, they were not in existence. Gantali Temple was the last line of the Thane city. And afterwards, when Navpada area developed, people started residing there. They form a Gram Panchayat for Navpada, and it was from 1935 to 1958. Navpada Gram Panchayat was in existence, and that's how Thane developed day by day under British rule. The most interesting portion of the British rule was, of course, freedom struggle. But I think that is very interesting, and there are so many people, so many persons. We can see a few. This is Damle, Nanasaheb Damle, who was chief of Thane Congress Committee, and he hoisted a Tiranga, Indian flag in independence, and for that he was imprisoned for 3 years. Then this is Nakhwaji, he is from Chendani Koliwada. Then this is Maruti Kumar Thanekar, he was our Bhagat Singh of Thane, I can say. He exploded a bomb in Thane court just to show his anger. Then these are Joshi. So Thane progress in British era, but that progress helped Thane to develop as a city which is very close to Bombay. Still, it has its own identity. So after British era also, Thane followed many of the traditions, and Thane has a cultural history. Thane has a social history, and many of these things, many of the schools in Thane has been formed in British era also. So that's why the British era was, in a way, we can say, help a city to bloom, develop as a culture of center, culture of education, and culture of trade also nowadays. So that was the Thane in British era. That was Tanaha, the capital of North Konkan district by British, and today's smart city of Thane. And being a Thanate, born and brought up in Thane, I always feel we should preserve our heritage. We should conserve the tradition of Thane city, and we should preserve the monuments. While concluding, I must thank Khaki team for giving me this opportunity to share my thoughts and about my Thane city. And I'm really thankful to Khaki for giving me the opportunity. Thanks a lot.
Thank you so much. That was wonderful to find literally the sister city, so much information about Tana or Thane as we call it today. And to find that there's been a series of roles and a series of contributions to the city and how little we really know about it. So thanks for collating it together and putting, one can sense that we're just touching the tip of the iceberg and that there is so much more information that is sort of sitting there. There are, of course, a few questions for you.
Mhm.
Let me sort of go through them. Gaurav would like to know what historical places in Thane can one still visit?
Historical places in Thane you can visit. The most is the important is Kopineshwar Mandir, because the Kopineshwar Mandir is the inner sanctum is built by Subedar Biwalkar in 1760, and that structure is unchanged. So you can visit Kopineshwar Mandir. Then you can visit St. John the Baptist Church. It has also very interesting story, and they allow you to visit the church.
Yogesh
Uh,
would like to know if you can give some information about the Killa Maruti Mandir, and also, of course, like you subsequently told about the first railway bridge in Thane.
Killa Maruti Mandir is very close to the old fort, which is now converted into jail, and it comes under the Kopineshwar Mandir Trust. They are taking care of that temple, and that is one of the oldest temple you can say, because in British Gazetteer also they have mentioned about the Maruti temple near the fort.
So there are people who'd like to know about the Heritage Walk as well. So maybe you'd like to drop in some information in the chat uh, after
Sure.
we are done. There is
Yes.
um,
Please keep seeing my Facebook status and Insta stories. So I always declare there when will be the
a
next.
handle so that people can
Ah,
follow you in the at the end of the of our conversation. Maybe
sure.
just drop in your Insta handle, and it
Yeah.
makes it easy for
Yeah.
people to follow. Yogesh wanted to know about the Jewish synagogue in Thane.
Jewish synagogue is around 400 years old, and they are having the oldest things they use for the worshipping and their rituals in that synagogue. But it is not open to public, unfortunately, for security reasons. So you have to take a prior permission from the trustees, and sometimes they allow you. I have been there once because at that time I was doing some project with TMC, and they allowed all of us to visit the place from inside. And even Jewish people have their cemetery near Cadbury Company in Thane West also. That cemetery is almost 300 years old.
Sabira has a comment that the British buildings that have lasted us centuries, though the new ones get washed away, new roads get washed away, and that's obviously just telling of the times. Gaurav wanted to know if you could throw some light on how Thane got its name.
Yeah, Thane got its name because in ancient chronicles, you find that Shilahara named the city as a Sri Sthanak. So Sri is the word which is that prosperity, Lakshmi, your richness it indicates. So this was the place of Lakshmi, and being their capital, they called it a Sri Sthanak. The merchants coming from out of India, Arab merchants or African merchants, they couldn't pronounce the word. So they tried to make it more soft. And some people called it Tana, Kukin Tana, Kokan Thane. It was the capital of North Konkan. That's why they connected the both words and they called it Kukin Tana. And the Sri Sthanak converted to Tana, and Thane. So that is the journey of title of the city.
Very interesting. Very interesting. Thank you, Gaurav, for
Somebody asked about Parsik tunnel. Somebody asked. I saw the
yeah.
question
I'm
there.
just coming to
The
that.
Parsik tunnel was uh,
No, go ahead. Go ahead. Tell us about the tunnel.
uh, so Parsik tunnel was built after the regular Thane Kalyan track was built for railway, and there is a record that for Parsik tunnel they used the stones of a fort which was built on the Parsik hill in 16th century. Demolished the whole fort and used the stones to build the Parsik tunnel. And we don't have record of that fort now. In which era, in which dynasty that fort was there.
Oh, wow. Okay. Sampata has a question whether Thane is a part of the Shashti Islands or the Salt Sea.
Yeah, Thane was part of Sasti. Sasti, the region called as a Sasti has a part of Thane city, Turbe, Trombe, Kurla, and because Thane was island at that time, because there was no road connection towards Kalwa area. towards Kalyan area. So even the Babington has a memoirs. A soldier has written actually the memoirs who has come with Stephen Babington from Mumbai to Thane by boat. They landed at the jetty near the fort, and they went to the Babington's place. So it was a part of a Salseti.
All of Thane was a part of Salsette or just a part of it?
No, just a part, not to the whole, not the whole, not the whole.
Shama wants to know something about the Ghodbandar Road.
Ghodbandar Road is known as a Ghodbandar because there is a port. There was a port actually. There is a fort now which is rebuilt and renovated, and it will be open to public on 26 January. The fort was there in existence even before Portuguese, but Portuguese reconstructed it, and that bandar was known for landing horses from Arab. So Ghodbandar, so bandar of horses. That's why the name was came into existence, Ghodbandar, and the whole area was known as a Ghodbandar. And in Portuguese area, Mr. Alfonso was the landlord of that whole Ghodbandar area, and he was having a very huge mansion on the hill in the Ghodbandar. Still, you can see few walls of that mansion, and there is a small check post near the Gaimukh Chaupati also. That is now covered under tin sheets, but that check post was connected with the Alfonso's bungalow, and the Ghodbandar was the name prevailing because of the horses trade was doing from that port.
Okay, wonderful. A lot of compliments also coming your way. Sabira Fernandez says, wonderful talk. Rajnikant says,
Sabina is from UK. She is a Thaneite girl, brought up in Thane. And she has helped me a lot regarding Christian history of Thane.
and like she rightly says, we need so many more such stories of our heritage to be conserved and to be shared and for more people to know widely. Vijay rightly says that it's a fantastic talk and therefore 1 hour is not enough. Perhaps we'll have you another time to speak about other aspects of Thane. Ankit says very insightful talk. Sabina says that she's impressed that a church built by the Portuguese before the Taj was built before the Taj Mahal was built still stands today, and that's really a great sort of connect to see the two in the same timelines. Again, Ram says very insightful session. So does Shama says that she would love to know more about the city and go for a heritage walk. Perhaps more people will join you for a walk as well.
Yeah.
Ankit has a comment saying that even though Thane, Mira, Bhayandar and suburban Mumbai are part of the Salsette, why are Thane and Mira Bhayandar not part of Bombay even after independence?
No, they could not mix up the things. Na? Thane has its own identity. Even before Mumbai, Thane was a very prosperous port, and Thane was having its own political identity, social identity. So you cannot combine Thane to Mumbai in a way because we have our own pride. It was tried once. Thane Lok Sabha constituency was abolished, and extended means Mumbai's constituency was created in I think 1950 or 50. But at that time, Thane Lok Sabha constituency was abolished, and it was connected to Mumbai. But after 5-7 years, they again make it separate because they know this could not be connected to Mumbai. This is not a part of Mumbai. It has its own existence. It has its own identity.
Samira's clarified that you're thinking about someone else, but that's fine. We find a lot of insightful views, comments, and regularity from Sabira. So thank you from that. For you from that. Thank you very much. I would invite you to join your add your Insta handle at the end of in the chat so that more people can see. And of course, thank you very much to everyone who's joined us through the year for our various talks. Today being the last talk, we are looking forward to seeing you next year. Thank you so much for that. And thank you so much for supporting Khaki. All our talks are online and we hope that you will see them there.
Thank you.